Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Spread Show. Here today, uh, we are with an amazing guest that I don't have words to describe. I will ask her to introduce herself, but the idea is for you guys to learn, to listen about the stories, get some advices, get some tips, because what we're going to be discussing today are some things that everyone in life struggles sometime. I struggled myself, our guest struggled herself, so I hope you guys can take some learning from this conversation. And just before, this show is sponsored by Spread. If you are a content creator, if you are a if you have a personal brand, if you have a business that wants to increase your digital visibility, more views, more reach, increase your sales, reach out to us on our website. You can talk with one of our agents, and I see you there. But let's dive in what is important for today. So, I always I want to introduce, but I also want the guests to tell who are they from their own words.
Yes,
So if you want to just introduce yourself a little
for
bit.
sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, my name is Natassia Dsouza. I'm an emotional eating coach focusing on unintentional weight loss and sustainable weight loss for my clients and for anyone else out there that cares to listen, learn, and grow.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you can see like the vibe, right? Like you're a very happy person that is always
I-
trying to contribute to others, right? So
Absolutely. I think it helps, being a positive, a happy
yeah,
person. I mean, once we get into what we do, you'll see why I carry that persona, let's say, because it helps people who are struggling be more comfortable,
yeah,
so it helps in a lot of forms as well.
yeah, for sure, for sure. To start, like I just wanted to understand a little bit more from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because as you said, you have your own business now
Yeah.
that you are helping like thousands of people online, face to face as well for sure. So I just wanted to understand a little bit, let's say before you created your business or like what happened, like why you created this in the first place.
Absolutely. So that's quite a long story, but I'm going to try to summarize it for you. So, as a child, I struggled with weight. It was something that I battled for quite some time. I'm also my understanding now as an adult is that the main reason why I struggled with weight was due to me being a victim of sexual trauma and using food as comfort. I never really shared with a lot of people what I went through as a child. So food was just my best friend. Food was my comfort, my go-to. Food understood things and feelings that I felt that no one else in my family or my household did. So that kind of became a habit. It became a coping mechanism. And before you knew it, on my 19th birthday, I was 145 kilos because the weight just kept piling on and piling on and piling on. And all along, I thought I was okay. I never seen what other people seen. I was made fun of. I was made fun of by my family, by my friends, by people at school. People pointing at me when they see me at the mall and things of that sort. But I got very used to it. I was very numb to it. And at around that age, I had gone to see a doctor, and he said, you're very, very unhealthy right now, and you need to do something about it. So he gave me a diet. I didn't really listen to it, but then I started following it one day in January. And then for 2 years, I lost all my weight. And it was a very strict diet. It was no carbs, no sweets, no this, just protein and vegetables. And I was so determined to get there. I did it. However, 6 months after that, I gained about 30 kilos of my weight back. So I lost about 65 kilos and then I gained 30 kilos back. And I think that's when I realized my problem was not just what every trainer tells you, eat less and move more. My problem was I was addicted to food. My problem was that I was obsessed with food. My issue was when I was sad, when I was lonely, when I was hurt, food was always there for me. And no one could see that. And that's when I only realized that after I gained the weight. Because I told myself, why would I do this to myself? All my life, I was made fun of. Why would I put myself through all of that only to gain the weight back. And so I realized then I had a very deep connection with food. And this is where I wanted to grow my understanding of it. Why am I obsessed with food? Why, when I'm anxious, instead of dealing with the problem, I want to go and eat? So this is where my story kind of came about. I started learning about emotional eating. I started learning about eating disorders. I started learning about trauma linked to eating disorders and how I fell under that category, having been a victim of sexual trauma, developing binge eating. That's when I realized I was a massive binge eater. And once I recovered, once I came to the other side, I realized that not a lot of people talk about it. This is something that a lot of women and men tend to suffer in silence. And I realized after all of that, after coming on the side, that it was time for me to stop the silence. It was time for me to say something about it. It was time for me to be a helping hand for people that are suffering the way I was, but are doing it alone. So that's...
So I mean, we have a lot of room to kind of dive into, but like, it's just amazing to see, because I was overweight when I was younger, when I was 14.
Yeah.
And the same thing that you're saying about, I was walking the malls, or I was just going out and people were making fun of you. This is something that happened to myself.
Yeah.
And for me, to be very honest with you, the moment for me that I realized that I need to change, of course I knew I had to change. My mom tried to take me for different doctors, nutritionists, but nothing was working. The moment that actually triggered myself to change was I realized that, okay, I have to do this, otherwise, And then it was actually I was 14, 13 maybe. And then I remember I was like talking a lot with my friends during class. And then the teacher looked at me and asked, "Oh, Gabriel, why don't you fit on the chair? You're not fitting in the chair." So at that moment I was like, did I listen properly what she said?
Yeah.
But of course, she was saying in a way that I was very I was talking a lot, make a lot of noise. So from her side, okay, it makes sense. But from my side, a 12-year-old, I was like, oh my God, what is this? So then at that moment, I changed. So I'm saying this, I wanted to understand, because you said your mom and your family, you went to the doctor, to the nutritionist to get a diet and everything. And was when you turned 19, right, that you actually started. But was there like a trigger? What happened that it enabled you to unlock, let's say?
To be very honest with you, I was in a relationship prior to me losing the weight, and the relationship ended. It ended very badly, and I was hurt. I was sad. I needed some motivation. I needed something to focus on, and it seemed right at that time. So I had seen the doctor in September. By this time, I was already done my relationship, and the doctor said, "Here's your diet." And I literally took that diet and I put it in my pocket. I was like, I'm never doing this. But then January came around and I felt like there was a calling. I felt like I had to go and take that diet. And I told my mom, take me to McDonald's. So she did. And, I got burgers, I got fries, I told them, don't give me Diet Coke, make it a milkshake. I really went all out. And that was it. The next day, I just took out that diet and I started following it. And the moment it started was like a new obsession. My mind no longer wanted to focus on food. It wanted to focus on this, something new, something different, something I've never tried before. Now looking back, it's a very good question. Now looking back, I would say the breakup at some point maybe was a form of motivation, a motivation to maybe if I was thinner, it wouldn't have ended. Maybe if I was a smaller person, he would have picked me. You know what I mean? So I think there was a bit of motivation around there that started that journey. However, now, when I met him, I said, thank you. It's the best thing you've ever done for me.
Yeah. It's because sometimes you just realize that was helpful years later. Right?
Exactly.
But it's interesting because usually, at least with the people I know and friends, after a breakup, sometimes they would get depressed or get very sad, and then it would start to develop some binge eating or some other kind of problem. So it's interesting because in your case was the opposite.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. It was It was the opposite. You're absolutely right. And, you know, I'm not quite sure what it was that triggered, but it just gave me hope. It gave me something to do. It distracted my mind, you know? And on the first week, I lost 3 kilos. I was like, wow, my body is capable of losing weight. Then the next week, I lost 3, obviously, because I'm not eating carbs, I'm not eating sugar. So I lost weight in a span of about a year, 2 months, which was gradual, but I was still losing weight. And so that kind of kept me going. That momentum kept me going. So it was good. It was really good. But that's, you know, I think because it was so new, it was different. I was a different person. I didn't even realize I was binge eating at that point. All of that came about when I gained the weight back. I always tell people that's when the real issue came at hand. That's when I really started seeing things from a different light.
So you mean, like, I mean, as you said, you lost 65 at first. So it was like a sprint, let's say,
Yes.
1 year.
Yes.
65 in 1 year is like,
Yes.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
a lot, right?
absolutely.
So then you kind of had like you got 30 kilos back, you
Yeah.
gained 30 kilos. And at that moment you realized
Yeah.
about this thing.
Yeah, because when I gained the 30 kilos back, I came home one of the days, I could see my clothes were getting tighter. I still wasn't 145, but I still gained 30 kilos. And my clothes were getting tighter. And I came home one day from work and I just sat on my couch and I started crying, because I asked myself, why? Why did I do this? Why? All my life, I only wanted one thing. I would only ask God for one thing. Please make me thin. Please make me thin. Make me like my sister. Make me like my mom. Make me like my friends, So I was so upset. And when I started breaking things down, when I started educating myself, when I, got registered as a dietitian, and I was like, this makes sense now. This makes absolute sense that it's not about me eating less and moving more, because I'm doing that. But I'm not doing it all the time. But I'm also sitting in the couch and eating bags and bags of chips and have no control. So there was that whole element that needed light, and it needed attention, and it needed me to learn a lot of learning.
Yeah. And it's interesting because sometimes we think that, at least from my perspective, like when I was I was big, I was overweight, and I would struggle a lot. When this happened with my professor, then I said, okay, so then I shift 100%. Then I start to reduce. And then I got, okay, now it's good. Let's say after 6 months or after 1 year, okay, now it's good. But then it didn't end there, right? It's just like a beginning for, I don't want to use the word a new life, but somehow a new life that you actually need to change your habits.
Absolutely.
You need to change your life. It is a lifestyle, right?
You're so right. That's the part that I missed, because I remember leaving my doctor's office when I reached my goal weight, and I asked him, what now? What do I do? And he told me, now live your life, Natasia. Live the life that you've never lived as a child. And that's what I did. I went and I was like, wow, now I can, go out, I can date, I can party, I can eat, and I didn't know what was the maximum, what was the extreme. I didn't know how to be this new person in this new body. It was a lot. And I didn't realize that if I go back to my old habits, I'm going back to the old version of me. That was the biggest lesson. It took me a while to realize that lesson. So you're absolutely right there. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not easy. It's like daily. There are daily struggles, right?
Yeah.
And even nowadays, I'm sure like maybe you want to go out and eat something that is not healthy at all, that maybe before you did a lot, but now you kind of control and regulate yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've really changed my relationship with food. I've changed it a lot. When I gained that 30 kilos, I had done, to lose it, I would then go on a juice fast for 10 days. Then I would lose some weight. Then I would gain 10 kilos back because, again, I'm gone back to binge eating. Now, if I make a conscious decision, I want to lose 1-2 kilos, I ask myself, how do I feel? Am I okay? Am I okay to cut back a little bit of calories? Am I okay to watch a little bit of what I'm eating? Knowing that I am a binge eater, knowing that I do have those tendencies, I approach my relationship with food very differently, And if I feel like the stressors around my life are okay and I can devote some time to losing weight, then I will. But I will not put myself, or for that matter, any of my clients, under that pressure, because they'll go back to their old habits. And that's the one thing we don't want.
Yeah.
Not for myself or for anyone else for that matter.
Yeah. But then I wanted to ask one thing, because you were in the beginning for you, when you lost a lot of weight, it was 3 kilos per week, 5 kilos per week. But that's not something that is also healthy,
No.
right?
No.
And I'm sure that's not how you do it for clients.
Absolutely not.
So
Absolutely not. So I have this philosophy that I tell people: the longer it takes you to lose weight, the longer you'll keep it off. You know? So this year, for example, I decided I was ready to lose some more weight. You know, I was happy with how I looked, but I wanted to do it. So this year I did 1 kilo a month. 1 kilo a month. So now we're in October, or November almost, and I've lost close to 11 kilos. So you look at it in November, you're like, wow, she's lost 11 kilos. But I did it at 1 kilo a month. You know, it was slow, it was gradual, I enjoyed it. And I want to be the example for my clients. And I tell them, especially my clients are usually with me a very long time. They're like, oh, I can do 1 kilo a month. That's healthy. It's doable. You don't have to cut out every single thing. You can still enjoy, you know, and that's, for me, that's sustainable.
yeah, because I mean, it's a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
We cannot just for 6 months be one person, and on the other 6 months a different person. Because
Absolutely.
in the end of the day, you are doing this for yourself, for your own health.
Yeah.
You're not like 6 month health, 6 month unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a new way of living that you need to adjust.
This is exactly it. And this is why we do it very slowly, because it's very important for me, for them to understand that this is going to be their new way of life. It's not like we reach a 6-month mark and that's it. I can go back to my old eating habits and no more working out and no more steps and no more drinking water. So it's a huge reality check for them, you know? And along the way, I teach my clients how to fail. And I believe that this is something that people don't talk about enough. You know, you on social media, on, you know, some of the most popular trainers out there, you will see, get your ripped 6-packs in 60 days. But then what? Right? Then what happens to that individual? They've got their 6-pack, so-called, that is what you promised them. Now what? Right? And so then this diet culture teaches people that after 60 days, after 90 days, that's it. I'm done. You know? So what I teach people is fail. Go out. Mess up, you know, learn, because this is how real life is going to be. You know, I make failure very comfortable, and I don't take on anyone on board if they're not going to be comfortable with failure. And they think this is going to be like a cheat sheet that I have in my pocket, because failure is part of life. And the more you get comfortable with it, the better you're going to be at sustaining your weight loss, managing your eating habits, and not gaining the weight back, you know? So that's, for me, that's really, really big.
And because, I mean, this is 100%, I agree 100%, because as we were discussing here, it's not about one day that, 7 days a week, one day I'm gonna just starve myself.
Yeah.
And then for 6 days, I'm gonna eat whatever. The same way that if you for 6 days have a proper diet, but then on the 7th day, you just eat like crazy, you ruin the entire week.
Exactly.
Right? So I just wanted to understand, how do you deal, because of course, as you've seen, like these failures are important, because they're gonna be the way that even after the weight loss journey, we're still gonna deal with it, right?
Yeah.
During the week, oh, today maybe I had some extra sweet or something and it happened. Okay. So how do you deal with this conflict in your mind, like this guilty of eating more than you should,
Yeah.
but then going back on track?
The key to that is compassion. A lot of individuals that are dealing with the guilt and the shame lack self-compassion for themselves. They lack compassion. They feel that this needs to be a military way of getting it done. You know, it needs to be hard. It needs to be strict. But if you don't have compassion with yourself, how will you move on from your mistake and move forward? If you don't have compassion, you're going to sit there and you're going to think and ruminate and think about, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. Okay, now I've done it. Let me just mess up my whole diet. That one day becomes 2 days. 2 days becomes 3 days. So what I do with clients is I teach them that if you failed, let's learn what you need to do to pick yourself up in a matter of 1 day and move forward. You know, that's a skill. The faster you can pick yourself up after a failure, the faster you're going to get to your goal, you're going to stay at your goal, the easier this journey is going to be. That's life. People fail day in and day out. If you speak to a healthy person that has never used food as a coping mechanism, and I mean healthy in quotation, that individual has pizza sometimes. That individual overeats sometimes, but they don't sit there and they're thinking about it for days on end. They just go about. They don't stop the gym. They just live their life. But people that struggle with food maybe have an overeating episode and they feel that guilt. So it's that compassion that, okay, I messed up. It is what it is. I forgive myself. I move on now. Tomorrow I can do better. And what did I learn from that? I always tell people, whenever you fail forward, right? You failed, accept it, but you're failing forward. Take your learning from it and move forward.
And move on.
Yeah, and so that's really, really big for me, for my clients, because it's the key to success. It really is. When it comes to binge eating, when it comes to overeating, weight loss, the minute you can handle your failures better, it's a smoother ride.
Are able to actually sustain for the long term.
Exactly.
Right? One thing that you touched upon was about like this compassion, right? And of course, it's very important, especially on this journey, that you are kind of forgiving yourself for what you did, but understanding that, okay, I messed up there, but let me learn and move on.
Yeah.
Right? But one thing that I wanted to bring to the table and hear your opinions, because today on social media, as you're saying, we have some people online that just accept the way you are. And I wanted to hear from you, because of course there are some things that we can change.
Yes.
So maybe I am like this. Oh, okay. Of course I should accept the way I am. I cannot change. Why would I not accept? Why would I not be happy with myself?
Yeah.
But then if I am overweight, or if I'm having some challenges with my weight, and this of course is not healthy. And what I mean by not healthy is that it can actually reduce your lifetime, right? So
exactly.
It's actually something that can bring a lot of problems, not just related to weight, but to your heart, to your entire life. So we are talking about compassion and understanding, but then we also have these people that maybe they have too much compassion. I don't know if this is correct. I just wanted to hear your input on this.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. So you're talking about this entire like body confidence movement, accept your body, no size matters. With all due respect to them and what they bring to the table, good for them. Good for them. That's the kind of confidence that they bring. I say to anyone that, brings about a body acceptance or body confidence, see what we can learn from there. Look at these men and women that are in love with their body, right? If tomorrow that individual decides, I want to lose weight, it is going to be a beautiful process for that person. Why? Because they're coming from a place of love, So even if they accept their body, good for them. That's okay, right? But they're coming from a place of love. Now, to the individual that wants to lose weight but lacks a place of love, there's an issue. So I get this question all the time, Natasia, but what do you say to these individuals? Everyone has a choice to live the way they want to. However, that being said, you're absolutely spot on. There's thousands, if not billions of studies on, how being obese impacts your health. I can speak wonders about what my life was as 145 kilos and what my life is right now, right? I can see the way I move, the way I breathe, the joy the gym gives me on a stand of my mental health, how it stops my binge eating, right? The activities that I can do, the confidence that it's given me. So there are things that I didn't have when I was overweight. So some of them have the confidence, they have the body acceptance. And to the people that want to lose weight and want to be better, what I tell them is, learn from these individuals, because there is no reason why you cannot love your body and still get to the where you want to be. There's no reason. There's no rule that says, no, you must hate your body now and then love it when you lose weight, right? So I accept both worlds. So sometimes I'll have clients that don't want to lose a lot of weight. They're very comfortable being maybe a plus size woman or a plus size man. They're very comfortable, but they want to control their binge eating. They're like, look, I love the way I look. I'm a voluptuous woman. I love it. But I notice my eating can get out of control and I don't want to take this to the next level or the next size, and I appreciate that woman. I appreciate her. And most times when we go to that level of getting control in eating, you know what, Natasia, I think I want to eat a bit healthier. They want to do it for themselves. So I accept that, but I also tell friends, colleagues, my clients, there's a big learning element there. And the learning element is the self-love. Love your body, accept it. But if you want to change, you want a healthier version of you, still love it. It makes the journey that much better. It's something I wish I would have done because I didn't have that.
So like I mentioned, it's like a process, maybe.
Yes, exactly. So understanding that, building that self-confidence for them. So I tell my clients when we start out, what about your body do you love? And that's a very hard question for them, and I'll ask them, tell me 3 parts of your body that you love. And they'll say, the hair on my hands, my eyelashes. I was like, that's not parts of your body. I said parts of it's very hard. So I teach them how to start loving themselves at that stage, at that size, at that, whatever category they fall into, and then love the process along the way. So then you're not coming from a place of hate. And that's something I've learned from the body acceptance, influencers and things of that sort. Because when you look at them, the amount of confidence they have, it's exceptional. So that's my take on that and on them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because somehow it's kind of also related to the mindset, right?
Absolutely.
So even though maybe they don't want to change, and that's fine. I mean, that's okay for them. But the mindset they would have is kind of, okay, I am like this, let me accept like this, and let me move forward.
Yeah.
That's the way that maybe some people would find to move forward, right?
Absolutely. And like I said, if tomorrow that individual wanted to lose weight, it would be a smooth process for them because they're coming with a lot of confidence and love, and it's their choice. No one's putting a gun to their head and said, you don't look like so-and-so, so you have to lose weight. They're doing it out of their own self-love for themselves. And that's the big difference.
Yeah. This is true.
Yeah.
This is very interesting because, I mean, as we know, it's not an easy journey, right? I think like of course, for some people, they have this unfair advantage of maybe already having this compassion, but it's not easy either way.
Yeah.
Right? It's a long process that you need to not just change 1 week, not 2 weeks, but maybe your entire household, everyone needs to change.
Absolutely.
And that's actually something that happens in my home because my brother, he tries, but then my dad would come and he loves cooking. So today I'm making bread, and then tomorrow a cake, and then tomorrow risotto, and then tomorrow I'm doing that. So, was there some, like in your household, like related to food, like your family, they would influence you as well, or it was?
Absolutely. It's tough because I can only imagine what your brother is going through because the same individual that is cooking. So let's say in my household, it was my mother, right? She would make the most amazing food and the most amazing dessert. Like our fridge would be stacked with dessert. Our freezer would be stacked with ice creams, and be like, do you want dessert after dinner? And serve your plate. And you cannot leave the dining table without finishing your plate. But at that same time, that same individual is then saying, why can't you do anything about your weight? Look at you in comparison to your sister. Look at you in comparison to your cousins. So as a child, it becomes very confusing for that child. You're my provider. You're providing me with food. You're providing me with dessert. You're telling me to eat. But you're also the same person that's telling me that I'm not good enough, that I'm big, that I'm fat. So as a child, that becomes very confusing. It becomes very confusing. And then as an adult, what tends to happen, we become very hypervigilant about the people around us. We become very sensitive to people's emotions because we're not sure. Our own providers told us one thing, but then they also told us another thing. So then the outside world starts looking into the same manner as well. And, it's people that have been raised in that environment, including myself, it takes a long time to realize what happens and what it's doing to us as an adult. For me personally, as a child, or when I started losing my weight, it was the household had to change. The food in the household had to change. A lot of the extras had to change. So yeah, my mother did change the way she cooked. She supported me a lot during that journey. She really did support me during that journey. And she made sure that there was limited temptations in the house. I was also very busy. I was full-time school, full-time working, trying to make the best of both worlds. And so it helped. But, it doesn't help when you're in a mixed environment because it's confusing. It's not supportive. And sometimes it can be just deteriorating. You're in a never-ending cycle. You want to be helped, but you don't want to be helped. You want to lose the weight, but the environment's not. So it's tough.
How do you think that, and I mean, even for adults or children, that maybe is, I mean, of course, it's harder, right? But how do you think that they can navigate in this scenario that they somehow cannot control all the circumstances around them?
So the idea first is to learn how can we gain control, right? Where is the control lost? Is the control lost in my portions? Is the control lost in when my parents go to sleep or when my husband goes to sleep and I want to eat more food? Because then that's secretive eating. So the bigger question here is, where is the control lost? And then circling back from that, because every circumstance is different. And for me, I truly believe that when it comes to binge eating and overeating, it has nothing to do with the food. It's not because, oh, that was really good pasta, I had to eat the whole thing. Whenever someone is struggling with binge eating, it has more to do with their environment. It has more to do with how they express themselves, how poorly they express themselves. It has more to do with their anxiety. That's the main focus. So if someone's struggling in that way, I always ask them, what's happening around you? Who is triggering you? Why do you feel the need to eat 6-7 plates of food and make your stomach hurt? What's happening? Because 9 times out of 10, I can even say 10 times out of 10 in my particular business, something's going on in their life. I can sense it from a mile away, So that's the bigger question we would need to ask when it comes to the circumstances, let's say.
And how, because I mean, you are not a psychologist, right? You're more like related to the food part.
Yes.
So how can you navigate and kind of, I don't know, do you find this with your patients, or how can you help them on this as well? Because what we are saying is that, of course, there is the food component, but maybe the food was not even that good, but you're just eating because you are eating, right? Sometimes you don't even know.
Absolutely. So the way you can navigate that, and the way I teach individuals to navigate that, is keeping a track of their feelings and emotions every single time they eat, right? That is the best way to identify, am I eating when I'm sad? Am I eating when I'm bored? Am I eating when I'm happy? Am I eating because it's 12 o'clock? Am I eating over the sink? Am I eating in my car before I see my husband? When you get 2 weeks, even 3 weeks worth of data in accordance to those emotions, you're able to identify even further. Now, because I've been doing this for a period of time, sometimes they don't even have to do the sheets. Even as they're talking, I can pick it up. I can see that the husband's a trigger. I can see that the boss is a trigger. I can see that they are secretively eating. And it is very important for me to create an environment that allows these individuals to feel safe. When we're working with binge eating, let's say, right? I always tell people there's 3 people in the room. Binge eating comes from the lower brain, from the person that was on every single diet in their life. When you're on a diet, you don't have to eat carbs, you don't have to eat sugar, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. So a person, let me give you an example. So say an individual wants to lose weight, right? But they're like, Natasia, I can't control myself around cookies. I can't control myself around carbs. I'll ask them, how many diets have they done in their life? They'll be like, oh, tons. I had to cut out cookies. So they feel like if I eat a cookie, I need to eat all of it because I'll never get it again. So that mentality is coming from the lower brain. The lower brain is the one that doesn't want you to go on a diet, that is always listening like, oh, when is this individual going to go on another diet? So I always tell people there's 3 people in the room. There's me, there's you, and there's your lower brain. So because I am trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, right? I am also trained in trauma attachment linked to eating disorders. So I've taken what I've learned from those elements and apply it in my coaching when I'm coaching individuals to make them understand that your language is important because your lower brain is listening, to make them understand that your feelings and how you feel at the moment is important to recognize and change and, use your tools. Because if not, if you sit in it and you don't address it, you're going to go back to your old habits. So that's kind of how I implement them, but it's about teaching them. And the solution is different for every individual. What might work for one person, if I tell her, okay, if you don't want to eat, maybe ring a friend, maybe go for a walk, that might not work for the other person. So it's very, very different, but it's about understanding what brings them happiness outside of food.
Yeah.
In most cases.
Yeah. And I mean, binge eating is something that you're mentioning a lot, right?
Yes.
So I imagine that you do a lot with this. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know, if in your experience, how can I maybe okay, you are a person that have this compulsive of eating, right? So how can I say that, okay, I am this person, or maybe I'm just out of the diet or something?
So that's a very good question, right? So the thing with binge eating, it works on a spectrum, okay? So people can be 1 to 2, let's say 1 to 3, in the 1 to 3 category, where they're maybe having overeating episodes once a week, right? Or maybe twice a week, let's say. Then we have, let's say, 5 to 7, where maybe they're binge eating 2-3 times a week. Then you'll have the higher category where the individual is probably binging every single day. This is when they're in a continuous loop of binge eating cycle. Now, even though these individuals are in different areas of the spectrum, they're all feeling the same amount of guilt, the same amount of shame. They're all restricting right after they've had a binge, right? They're all going back to their diets. They're all very heavily into the diet culture. They're all very, concerned about their body. So the characteristics are the same. And, the difference between a binge eater and an overeater is the number of times that they engage in the binge eating, the number of times they, go back on their diet and start restricting. You can see the tendencies very clear in how they speak and how they talk. You can see the food obsession. You can see the way they're, no. If I need to start, I need to weigh all my food. It's not, no, okay, fine, I'll eat normal. It's all or nothing. I'm either strict diet, working out, healthy, or I'm binging. That's the kind of two
extremes.
worlds. Yeah, it's a very, very extreme mentality. The same individual that will wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, work out, track all their calories, do their 15,000 steps, work out 6 times a week, will be the same individual that will eat 10,000 calories in one sitting and doesn't know why it happened.
Yeah. And it's interesting because sometimes, like, when we're talking to people and say, oh, I have a diet, like, okay, but I'm not losing weight.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I mean, you have a diet, but then what do you do extra? Like, besides your diet, so let's say on your cheat day, or maybe, I don't know, because what happens, at least for me sometimes, you are waiting your food, right? So then you say, okay, I have 200 calories, let me just eat some snack here or something. And then maybe you don't even realize, but that small bite was like 1,000 calories and then just ruined your entire diet, right?
Exactly. So for me, that's an analogy I see a lot, but I don't, for myself included and for my clients, I don't allow them to stay in that environment for too long. If someone tells me, I had 200 calories left and it ended up being 400, I'll say, okay, good. Did you enjoy it? Was it a good cookie? Was it a good lasagna? Whatever it was it good? Yeah, Natasia, was good, but it was 400 and I only had 200. It's fine. Did you enjoy it? Yes, I did. Forget it. Done. Move on. Tomorrow's a new day. We start again. Right? Because if we focus on that, like, how could you do that? Then it's no different than every other diet out there. It's no different if that individual was raised in a household where they may have been yelled at by their parents for gaining weight and called them fat. It's no different. It's that compassion piece, teaching them that, because they're coming to me waiting for me to be like, how could you do that? How could you do that? That was absolutely against. So I need to be compassionate to them. And then they learn that, wow, that was nice. That felt good. That was okay. And tomorrow I can start fresh. It's teaching them that maybe episodes of that will happen, but tomorrow you start fresh.
New day.
Yeah. So for me, I don't, as much as I hear that a lot, I teach them not to focus on that. I teach them that look at your majority of your week. Look at how much of it, the effort you've put in, rather than one little slip up. Because a slip up is not what made you gain 50, 30 kilos.
Sometimes you just ignore the entire week that went well, and then you just focus on the one.
Exactly.
And it ruins your mentality, your mindset for the next week, for the next month.
That's it. Right? And sometimes people get addicted to focusing on that mistake because they want to make a bigger mistake, So it's an excuse. Oh my God, now I ate that cookie means I have to eat the whole cookie. I have to eat the whole bag, right? They focus on the mistake and it becomes a habit. They've done it so many times before, they become addicted to saying, oh no, but it was so small. Now that's it, my whole diet's out the window, I'll start on Monday. So it becomes an excuse. So I won't focus on the part that they ate the cookie, but if I see them using the excuse again and again, I'll call them out on it. And I'll say, you're telling yourself a lie here. You're telling yourself an excuse every single Friday because you want to start you have got it addicted to starting on Monday, and that's what needs to get focused on. Not the fact that they ate the cookie, but the fact that you're addicted to starting every Monday. So, it's that fine tuning, and when an outside person is looking at your behavior, then it helps. Because you do it so often, you don't even realize you're doing it. So that outside light helps so much in guiding the individual and understanding what their habits are to help them, do better and navigate this much, much better.
Yeah. It's because it's very complicated to sometimes, like, I just want to help someone, and then maybe because like, let's say we all have some friends or some family members that are struggling as well, and then you want to help. But sometimes you're just like, oh, why you did that? I told you to not do it. I give you this diet. I provided you this. But then in reality, it is not actually helping, right?
No.
It's just messing with the mentality there.
Absolutely.
That is the key factor, right, in changing. So.
Absolutely, because if you start yelling at that individual's going to start secretive eating. So they're going to do it when you're not there. They're going to do it in their car. They're going to do it when everyone's asleep, right? So they'll go back to their old habits and nothing's changed. So the idea is really holding the individual's hand and saying, how can we do this together? I see you're struggling. I see it. I recognize the struggle, How can we do it together? Where do you think I can help you? And when that individual understands that the world, the people, their friends, their family is not against them, but actually with them, then they open up. Then it's not a battle. Then it's, I need help. I'm struggling. I'm struggling with sugar. I'm struggling with carbs. I'm struggling with not being able to work out. I'm struggling because I'm sad at work and I want food every time. You really get to understand this individual from a different level. And the minute you do, you can help them in such miraculous ways rather than just, here's a standard diet and here's your workout, because that's no different than what
everyone does.
Exactly.
And everyone failed many times.
Exactly.
Right? It's interesting because sometimes, like, what seems to be the most obvious thing, maybe it's not the one that we need to put more emphasis.
Yeah.
Right. So of course, the number one thing to lose weight is your diet. Maybe it's your workout.
Absolutely.
But if you just focus on that, especially for people that have binge eating, have this. It's not a disease, but have these disorders. Disorders, sorry. That's the area that you need to kind of address first, right?
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it will not work. It will keep in a cycle that...
You're so right. Absolutely. Right? I always tell people, first, we address your triggers, we address your cravings, we address your tendencies, we address your environment. Then we focus on weight loss. Once we can understand why you do what you do, focusing on the formula for weight loss is very easy. Eat less, move more. It's a very easy formula. But you need to first understand your environment. You need to understand your triggers. You need to understand, am I a salty person or a sweet person? Do I eat when I'm angry? Do I eat when I'm upset? Do I eat when I'm lonely? Do I eat when I'm sad? Right? Once you can understand this and you can learn what to do when it comes up, then doing weight loss becomes very easy. This is why I focus on unintentional weight loss. I tell everyone, focus on your habits, focus on being the better version of yourself, weight loss will come.
It will come.
It will
It's
come.
just a part.
Exactly.
Right?
It's
It's
part
not
of
the
the
main
process.
thing.
No.
It will just happen there.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's unintentional weight loss.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we want. We want unintentional. We're not focusing on the number. It will come.
Yeah. And I mean, right, in this way, the person can actually have a healthy lifestyle after all. The
Absolutely.
person got used to, right,
Yeah.
of the lifestyle. The person starts to love the process, not just the end goal. Right?
Absolutely.
Because then it's like these traps and
Absolutely.
just more challenges. So
'Cause the process is going to be the rest of their life. The process is their new life.
Yeah.
You know, so the more they love it, the better it is, because this is going to be their new life. So yeah, that's the way we work.
yeah. Was there any, like in your own life? Because I think sometimes it's very good for us to see with examples, right? Maybe what I'm struggling is because, like, for me, I really like chocolates.
Yeah.
Like, I really like. So then, okay, today was an intense day. I worked a lot. Okay, let me just get one chocolate. But then if this gets like every day, and then from Monday to Monday, okay, just one chocolate, just one chocolate, just one chocolate. And maybe, okay, I didn't even gain weight, but then diabetes came. I
Yeah.
don't know, right? So in your own life, like, was there, can you give us like an example of something that was happening with you that you could see yourself in this binge eating or something?
Absolutely. So for me, I love desserts. I
Okay.
still love desserts. You know, I could easily go to Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme back in Canada, and I would get a box of 12 donuts, and I could eat all of them. And then I would go to McDonald's, get fries, get burgers, and I would eat all of it. And my stomach would hurt. Sometimes I would put the box to the side, to wait for the pain to die down for 5-10 minutes. Then I'd take it back and I'd eat it again, right? Sometimes I would go sleep for an hour, get up, and I'd look at the food and be like, yeah, okay, I want to eat again, you know? I was addicted to sweet things. This was ever since I was young. And that just got exaggerated over time. Now, I still love desserts. Don't get me wrong. I just had Cheesecake Factory last week and it was delicious, right? But I've realized that what I was trying to fill was not my love for dessert. What I was trying to fill was sadness. What I was trying to fill was loneliness. What I was trying to make myself feel happy with the sugar was all the hurt from my past that I never addressed, you know? So now when I eat a piece of cake, sometimes I can't even finish half of it because I was like, wow, this is good, because I'm appreciating the flavors. I'm not going at it with obsession or with fullness. So it was very important for me to understand what my obsession with that dessert was, you know? In your example, let's say, use the example of the chocolate. If you're having 2 a day, that's fine. You know, everything in moderation, they say, right? If it's going out of control, if it's impacting your health, if it's impacting your well-being, then it's a cause for concern, right? Then it's saying, do I need to have these 2 pieces every day, right? How long have I been having it for that I've created this habit? And if it's just a habit, what can I replace it with, right? Can I replace it with a sugar-free lollipop? Can I replace it with dark chocolate? Can I replace it with 1 piece of chocolate and a box of blueberries, right? So we develop these habits and this food coping mechanisms and this reliance on food. And in some cases, like in your example, it's okay. But if it's impacting my health, then maybe it's not. So I need to reassess it. In my case, it was never okay. But I made myself believe that it was okay because I didn't want to feel what I was truly feeling inside, which was hurt, which was sadness. I just thought I'm a normal, healthy adult. Who doesn't do this? And in reality, if you're not struggling with food, you don't do it. But I thought it was normal. So that's kind of how I moved away from binge eating and specifically for desserts. And now as an adult, people always ask me this question. They say, Natasia, do you still binge eat? You know? And I say, I still have the urges to binge eat. I still feel it in the back of my head. Go eat, go eat. And those urges will never, ever disappear, right? You just get really, really good at handling it. So now I can turn the volume down. I know, I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm safe, you know? So that's my take on handling it.
Yeah. I mean, This was amazing, and to be very honest, like it's something that it needs to be addressed. It's a topic that everyone struggles. Some people struggle because they don't eat at all.
Yeah,
Some people struggle because they eat too much. Some people
absolutely.
struggle because they're in between, but they just have bad choices of eating, right?
Yeah.
So it's something that everyone needs to kind of think sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I adjust in a way that it's healthy because you need to work, you need to do other things. And also because food plays a very important role on your mood,
Absolutely.
on how you talk with people,
Yeah.
on your daily life, on your energy,
Yeah.
right? So
We need to eat food to survive. You know, food addiction is so much harder than alcohol addiction, gambling addiction, because we need to eat to survive. So it's the hardest, but it's also very rewarding once you get over it.
yeah. Thank you so
My
much.
absolute
I really
pleasure.
appreciate it. It was very nice. I hope you guys could learn a little bit from us. And thank you, Natassia, again
my
for spending your
pleasure.
time here.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
if you guys wanna get to know a little bit more about Natassia, her social media will be down below. I mean, you just could see with this conversation. And if you struggle, we also do, and we did, and we do every day. So think a little bit, right? Have more
Absolutely.
compassion with yourself and move on.
Absolutely.
It's every day, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.